215 on course on glide path 3/4 mile, 12 o'clock.
560 knots, which had about 4 early, which is okay. Okay. Warthog's away, 55 seconds. Liquid package looks good, correction coming in short.
Power.
Right.
Turn on back out.
Right.
Get out the rail, get past the left side. Get out the rail, once you climb on like that.
Hello again everyone, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at another excellent MILVIZ portover, courtesy of MILVIZ and Aviator 671. Some of you may recall that we previously took a look at a similar project in my showcase of the Freeware MILVIZ T38 Talon. Aviator 671 has been hard at work once again, and today we're going to be flying the F4J Phantom. The aircraft is freely available over on flightsim.to. I'll leave a link down in the video description, and should you so wish, an F4E variant of the Phantom has been made available also. Just to cut off some of the comments ahead of time that I'll no doubt receive here on the video, of course nobody is saying that this port can hold a candle to the newly released Heat Blare Phantom within DCS, but this is a freeware offering, so it's great for those on a more limited budget, and of course it's also a nice option if you just want to have some more casual fun within Microsoft Flight Simulator. For our flight today, we are heading back towards the Mach Loop. It's been a little while since we last visited the area on the channel, and inspired by the F4J, which I think is one of the more beautiful variants of the Phantom, as well as this very nice retro RAF paint job, the Mach Loop seemed like the perfect location to put the jet through its paces. So we are currently on the ground at RAF Valley. We're going to be running through a very abbreviated startup. We'll blast off out of Anglesey, track down the Welsh coast, and then run the F4 for a lap or two around the Mach Loop. With our run complete, we're then going to be heading out into the Irish Sea. We're going to rendezvous with an American carrier, the USS Forrestal, for our landing. As always, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you do, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. And if you would like to help support the channel further, you can do so by becoming a channel member or patron. Okay, so today we find ourselves back in Microsoft Flight Simulator, on the ground at one of my favourite spots within the sim. That is, of course, RAF Valley, the gateway to the Mach Loop. As you can see, it's going to be another two-ship formation flight here today. We've got another F4J there just off the left wing. He's running through his startup process. As with Aviator 671's previous efforts, the F4 is once again a really nice conversion into the sim. Excellent modelling and detailing, although of course MILVIZ do take a lot of credit for that. And a very big thank you to MILVIZ as well for allowing the aircraft to be converted for free here into Microsoft Flight Simulator. Unfortunately, as with all of these conversions, none of the cockpit controls or switches are operable, which does make the aircraft a little bit basic. You will need to operate it with keybinds. That was a concession though laid down by MILVIZ, and I think it's a very fair one given that the aircraft is completely free. So currently we have electrical power here supplied to the jets. All we need to do here to run through the startup process is hit the usual keybinds, so we'll hit the start here on number 1, and we'll head outside. We'll listen to that General Electric J79 here as it fires up. Okay, so we do have two good starts. Again, a very straightforward process overall to get the F4 fired up. We do also have a couple of nice little animations here on the jet. So for example here you can see we do have the extendable and retractable refueling probe. Again, we can get rid of that using a keybind. And same here as well for the wings. Just using a keybind there we can unfold the wings. So we'll just wait for those to extend. And lastly here as well, we'll close up the canopy. So canopy is closed and locked. We'll set the flaps through to the takeoff position. And for us now, once our wingman's ready, we're going to be taxiing straight ahead, joining left here onto the main taxiway, and out to the holding point for runway 31.
Currently defined at Atlantic approaching Foxtrot North. Can leader 5 cross Foxtrot North, north to south after departing. Okay, so we are now both lined up here on runway 31. We've got our wingman here just off the right of the aircraft. The wind is straight down the runway. We'll take the park brake off, we'll just hold the jet momentarily here on the toe brakes and slowly come through to full military power. As you'll have noticed from the start, and indeed some of the external shots later on during the video, the sounds on the aircraft overall are actually pretty nice. Certainly right up there with a lot of payware options available in Microsoft Flight Simulator. Okay, so there's full military power off the brakes, onto the burners. And as those burners kick in, you can see the needle there on the airspeed indicator starting to pick up some pace. Up 300 knots, so just easing back on the stick. We'll just get the nose wheel off the ground. And through 150, we are airborne. We'll tap the brakes, bring up the gear, up through 200 knots, the flaps can come up here as well. And now just waiting until we're up through 300 knots. There's 300, so off the burners. And we'll come back to around 70% here on the RPMs. We're looking for about 420 knots. Okay, so nicely trimmed out, the aircraft is clean. We've got Hollyhead just off the nose. We'll do a quick lap around that. We'll turn left around the headland and then we'll track back on the reciprocal down the coast. Initially for a left-hand downwind past Valley. Our wingman just stationed down below us off the right-hand side of the aircraft. And commencing the turn here around the north of the island. Pulling around 3G there in the turn. Those waters do look particularly cold and uninviting. And as I say, just continuing the turn here to establish southeast down the coast. And rolling out wings level once again. So speed 400 knots, we'll pick up a little bit of speed here now that we're out of the turn. Again looking for 420 knots, so about 7 miles a minute. We've got Valley there out at our 11 o'clock. And again we'll just check our wingman is holding station. I've made use of Airshow Assistant in quite a few videos recently, you can probably tell I really love the utility overall. It's a great little tool for the sim, really adds that little bit of extra immersion into this sort of flying within Microsoft Flight Simulator. There's Valley just passing off the left-hand wing. Again, we're on somewhat of a left-hand downwind currently, runway 31. But we're going to continue here out towards the southeast. Just tracking the coast, waypoint 1 is Carnarvon. And we can already see there the Menai Strait just coming up through the left of the windshield pillar. We've got Mona Air Force Base as well, just out to the left of the aircraft. And as well, you can see the mountain range there of Snowdonia. We've taken a few flights around there recently, namely in the India Fox Techo Tornado. Another really great part of the world to fly in. But I thought we'd head back over to the Mach Loop today. It's been quite some time actually since we've been over to the Mach Loop here on the channel. Always a favourite spot. So we've got the town of Carnarvon there out at our 10 o'clock, that is waypoint 1. We'll just stay off the coast, keep away on the built up areas, try and avoid annoying the locals. We've got Carnarvon Airfield just passing off underneath the nose. And again, just continuing to track the coastline. Speed's picked up quite a bit there, so we'll come back towards around 65% now on the RPM. Again, just looking to maintain 420 knots. And tracking now, continuing to follow the coastline, heading out towards the town of Barmouth. Typically I think we'd actually head inland from Barmouth to join the Mach Loop, but my preferred route is always to head in initially towards Abu Dhabi, head up the river towards Mach Loop, and we'll pick up the route from there. Okay, so we are now approaching the town of Abu Dhabi, and once again we can follow the river here inbound towards the town of Mach Loop. We'll just make a gentle roll here out to the left, start pulling some G to come around the corner. Again, not really stressing the aircraft here, only up at around 2.5 G. Just coming over hit the water, and we've got the town now just coming up abeam the top of the canopy. So I think what we'll do here, we'll do one run at a relatively sedate pace, just keeping our 420 knots. It's been a while, so we'll just run through the routing, point out some of the sites as we go, and then we'll come back around for a second lap of the area. We'll go max chat, full afterburner, and see what the Phantom is really capable of. So approaching the start of the run, again I believe typically aircraft actually enter via the Barmouth Inlet to join onto the Mach Loop, but I always prefer to come in via Mach Loop, and obviously we can do what we like here in the sim. So we've got the town passing just down to the right of the aircraft, tracking straight ahead down the valley out towards the northeast. And we've got the river there down below us on the right, we can follow that. Also we've got the A489. Continuing to follow both of those for now out towards the northeast. That'll take us on towards the town of Glantwymen and Malchwyd. And we should have a little bridge here as well, just crossing the river. Just down below the left of the aircraft. Wind turbines there up on the hill. That brings us round now out towards the northwest. At which point we pick up the A470.
Nothing on radar yet. You're targeting 180, 30,000.
It's interesting just how different the Mach Loop actually looks in Microsoft Flight Simulator versus with the Orbex scenery in both Prepared and X-Plane 12, both of which I've been flying in a little bit recently. Anyway, we get the aircraft lined up here with the hill that's just off the nose. That's going to be our feature before our turning point over Dinas Malchwyd, which you can see just here off our 11 o'clock. And again, just following the road for now. That brings us around the side of the hill. I'm going to pull a little bit more G here now to get around the corner. So that's going to be a pretty full-on turn when we come back later on with the afterburners lit. Still following that road, just down on the left of the aircraft. That's bringing us now towards Bult. So nice gentle left bank for now, and we'll reverse the turn. Back out towards the right, up through Bult exit. Just come over the crest of the hill. And for now, still following that A470. Just down on the left of the aircraft, that's going to take us through to the Cross Foxes Inn, which will be coming up on the left of the jet momentarily. And coming around now, picking up the A487. That takes us back in towards the hills. We cut down here between the valley in towards Llyn-Mingil.
Right now, make you heading 150.
Alpha 06, roger. I think I got in contact at head right, left. I'm looking level on radar, nothing yet.
The aircraft really nice to fly overall, very pleasant for a Freeware aircraft. The developer has said that the aircraft is not true to life on the numbers, it's just designed to fly broadly like the real jet. And that comes across. Does feel like a bit of a brick. There's only lots of power needed if you want to really start pulling some G. Anyway, cutting off out to the left from Llyn-Mingil, through Corris Corner, and now coming down towards the town of Corris. Yeah, now just following the contours here of the valley. That's going to spit us back out of the hills over the town of Machloeth. Again, wind turbines just off the left of the jet. And the road just down below us, the town. Just coming over the tops of the hills there out at our 1 o'clock. So we'll light those burners now. Obviously we're going to pick up a lot of speed there as you do, and having to pull a lot more G now to get the aircraft around the corner. That's full backstick. And up to around 4G. So speed picking up, 400 knots, back down the valley. You'll probably recognise some of the features this time. So again, just pointing to the hills, we've got the wind turbines, they're up on the ridge line. And we've got Glantwymin and Manllwyd just passing below the aircraft. The Phantom really wanted to climb now that we've got some speed, so just trimming that out, picking up the A470 once again. And up to around 600 knots now, Mach 0.9. There's our hill, so lining the aircraft up once again. We might just about get through the sound barrier here before we make the turn. A little bit of Mach tuck there as we approach Mach 1. All back on the stick, actually having to trim out there as well to get the jet away from the ground. Just shy of Mach 1. The aircraft really not wanting to turn now, so off the burners, onto the speed brakes momentarily. Just to get some authority back there in pitch. Back onto the burners now, and again following the A470, we've got bush exit just off the nose of the jet. They're banking back out to the right, and again cresting the hill. Mach 0.92. There's the road. We're going to have to come off the burners again. We might be able to get away here without any speed brake. We'll just overbank the aircraft back down towards the ground. It's the first manoeuvre. We've actually stressed our pilot slightly, a little bit of breathing there from him. Back onto the burners and back down into the valleys. There's Llyn-Mingil just off the nose. And we've got Corris Corner again, so we'll start bleeding off that speed. You can already tell otherwise the F4 is just not going to want to make this turn. Okay, around the corner. Maintaining about 480 knots. And approaching again the town of Corris. They're going to get quite a racket from us as we come overhead. Great little fun aircraft to fly overall. I really want to try the Phantom in DCS, and I'm sure we'll get around to that at some point. Just always miss the scenery though in DCS. The maps just don't really do it for me compared to the real world scenery that we have available in both Microsoft Flight Simulator and X-Plane 12. X-Plane 12 of course though needing some add-on scenery. So once again back over the town of Machloeth, we'll finish the run there. Great fun overall, certainly a little bit quicker there with the afterburners in. And looks like our wingman there managed to maintain station throughout. At this point though we're going to part ways. He's going to head back towards Valley. Luckily for us there's actually a US carrier situated just off the west coastline of Wales, so we'll light the burners again. We'll climb up to altitude and we'll go feet wet, head out over the water, back for a landing on the deck. Okay, so we're now out on the western coastline of the United Kingdom. We've got the carrier just off the nose, down there in the water. Maintaining about 350 knots, we'll just level off here around 1,000 feet. I'm just going to fly some approximation here of an overhead brake. I'm always at pains to point out during these sorts of videos, I'm no expert when it comes to carrier landings. I'm not looking to create any sort of tutorial, just demonstrating some of the features here of the add-on. So coming overhead the carrier, we'll pull the aircraft, put on a little bit of G. I believe typically is why you'd come off the power bleed off that speed, but the F4, as I mentioned, really doesn't like to turn at low airspeed, so we'll just pull the power off pretty slowly. Okay, speed's checked, we'll bring the gear down, we'll come through to half flap. And we'll fly a nice wide, long downwind here, just to give ourselves plenty of time to get the jet configured, lined up on the approach. Again, not being an expert at these sorts of things. It is worth noting that we're going to be eyeballing the approach here. We've got no E-bracket, of course, no ball down on the deck. Those angle of attack indicators as well don't actually illustrate any data of any use. So just using the airspeed indicator, we'll aim for around 150 knots here during the approach. And again, just eyeballing the profile. It's also worth mentioning that the add-on, whilst it does have a visual model for a tail hook, there's no functionality associated with that. It's coming through to full flap. So you will need some sort of third-party tool. For example, here I'm using Kinetic Assistance just to aid in the recovery, essentially simulate the arrestor gear down on the deck. Okay, so making a very shallow turn back round onto final. Again, I know this is a particularly wide and long pattern. That is by intent. That's just going to give us lots of opportunity here to get lined up on the deck and also establish a profile here that we're happy with. Pretty happy with the speed for now, doing about 160 knots. Yeah, and just getting ourselves lined up with the carrier. Probably just a touch low here at the moment, so we'll feed in a little bit more power. Also, whilst I know it's typical to come through to full afterburner ahead of the touchdown, just in case you missed the wire, Kinetic Assistant will actually deem that as an aborted landing, so we're going to cut the throttles, otherwise the aircraft isn't going to come to a stop. Okay, so pretty happy here on the speed, similarly pretty happy here on the profile. Just slightly out to the left of the centre line, correcting for that. And maybe just dipping a touch low here as well. Okay, back on a decent profile. So just juggling the controls, managing the throttle here for the profile. Nicely on the centre line. And trying to avoid too much of a flare here in the landing. Onto the deck. And a good touchdown. Coming to a stop.
405 on course on glide path 3/4 mile, call ball. 405, horn ball, 57 read.
Roger ball, 27 knots. Right, pilot. Pilot.
302 on course on glide path 3/4 mile, call ball.
302, horn ball, 53. Roger ball, 26 knots. Mission 1 out.
205 on course on glide path 3/4 mile, call ball.
205, horn ball, 54.
Okay.
Roger ball, 20.
Fox away, 55 seconds. Package looks good. Correction coming in short.
Power.
Right, slightly right. There you go, right hand.
And I'm right, okay, past the left hand.
So there you go, ladies and gents. I do hope you enjoyed the video. That is us done and dusted in terms of our brief look at the Freeware F4. Again, I think the aircraft is a really nice option for a little bit of casual fun within the sim. Very nice visual model, pretty decent sounds, pleasant to fly, and some nice additional features to boot. It is, of course, a little bit of a shame about the system's fidelity, but hopefully we'll see MILVIZ, or perhaps as well Heat Blur, bring a more high-fidelity Phantom into the sim at a later date. Once again, both the F4J and the F4E are available over on flightsim.to, and both aircraft offer configurable loadouts as well as a whole host of liveries. As mentioned, I'll leave a link down to the F4J in the video description. Once more, I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider giving it a like. If you want to see more content from the channel, then please do consider subscribing as well. And as I mentioned previously, if you would like to help support the channel further, you can do so by becoming a channel member or patron. and links to both of those will as well be down in the video description below. As always, a very big and heartfelt thank you to my channel members and patrons for all of your support. And again, as well, thank you to MILVIZ or Blackbird Simulations, as well as Aviator 671. I do hope that all of you are having a great day, wherever you are. Take really good care, and I will see you all again soon.